so we get here in the morning. We arrive at like 9:30 with our big van full of equipment. And we obviously arrive at different venues all around the country, so we have to transform obviously venues like the QE2 here, to schools, to village halls, and we have to transform them into an event, obviously in an environment that's suitable for our events. So we get there and we get unpacked and we get unloaded and get everything set up for everybody. We have a team of volunteers that arrive, and they're usually social workers from the local authorities that are referring children. So we set everything up ready. The adopters then arrive, usually a little bit nervous. You know, for some of them it's the first time they've been to anything like that. And we do a briefing, but before the briefing they get the opportunity to look at the profile of all the children that are actually in attendance as well. So they have a few moments to look at that, you know, have a drink and things like that. And then we do a briefing which just explains to them what's going to happen on the day, and talk about, you know, feeling nervous and anxious is completely normal, and talk to them about the preparation of the children. And who the children are, and obviously, you know, the number of children that are going to be at this event, and how also the adopters can follow up any expressions of interest they would have in any of the children they meet. So when we've done the briefing, we then invite adopters to go out into the main activity space, which the children will have arrived by that point. And the children arrive with usually their foster carer and or social worker, and they come along, and the children usually just get stuck in straight away, loving all the activities. And I think for a lot of adopters that helps put them at ease then once they see the children having a really, really good time. So there's usually, at the minute, it's about a couple of hours they have, you know, as I say, interacting in different activities. It might be playing basketball, doing arts and crafts, doing big builds with inspired children, or with our other entertainer Magical Mayhem, riding around on circus skills bikes and juggling and all sorts of fun things. We usually end the day with like a magic show which brings everyone together, and then all of the children leave the event and they get gifts, teddy bears, books, and the foster carers leave loaded up with all these things, Kirsty knows usually, that they've got to carry on the train home. And then the adopters have the opportunity to have a little bit of time after the event, express obviously any interest in any of the children they've got to spend time with in that day and want to find out more. But we also encourage the adopters to do what's called a comment card for the children. So any of the children they've interacted with, we strongly encourage them to write some really positive comments down. So it might be that that child had a brilliant smile, or they did an amazing picture, or they were amazing at football. And we try and get as many positive comments, because as we can obviously all appreciate, not a match doesn't come for every child from the events. So what we want to do is to make sure that lots of positive feedback can be given to them children, and it can be part of their life story record as well. So obviously once the adopters have done all that, then they go home, and we do then ask for feedback from everybody, which we collate, and it's always really interesting to get that through and learn from it as well, and take on the positives and any constructive criticism as well. And the most exciting part for us at the end of the day is looking in the expressions of interest box to see how many possible links and families may have been formed at that event, and you know, that's the best part of the day for us. So it's a really fun environment is what we want to create, a fun event. Obviously it's very child-centred. We want it to be lots of fun activities that the children can get involved in, but obviously the most important part of the day is that prospective adopters come along and get to meet children and spend time interacting with them and getting to know the real child behind the profile. But not only that, they get to have direct conversations obviously with foster carers and social workers, which helps really break down a lot of them barriers. We find for lots of families they would have ruled themselves out for children, looking just at the information that's written about that child. But they come along to our events. We have profiles which are quite positively based, because we want to bring out the best of the children. And as I say, we're not there ever to withhold information to adopters. It's about coming along, meeting people, having that opportunity to ask them questions, but first hand rather than basing it on, as I say, written information, which I think is often more scary. And a lot of the time it's based on their emotional connections that people can't really explain. You know, they just feel something, and there's something there, and it may be a child that was older than they ever would have imagined, but they come along and they just feel that click, and it's really an honour to see that at the events as well, and be part of that journey for the families.